Welcome to Gulfstream Park West, and welcome to the Gulfstream Park West Handicapping Show. I'm Ron Nicoletti, along with Acacia Courtney, and starting the day today with a fast main track, a firm turf. Of course, got really 10 really nice races on there. Little breezy conditions here in South Florida, but it makes it so comfortable. The horses should really like it, so we'll see how things work out. So should be a fun day today.
It should be a fun day, and there's lots of fun coming up. Before we dive into talking about the great card that we have today, I want to remind you, coming up on November 6th, Gulfstream Park just added the Gulfstream Park West Claiming Crown Preview Day on Sunday, November 6th. It's going to be 11 starter races, purses totaling $440,000. Nominations end Sunday, October 30th, so make sure that you get in on that. It's a big preview day. Again, 11 races getting ready for the opening of the Gulfstream Park Championship meet, which will be on Saturday, December 3rd with the Claiming Crown there. So lots of fun coming up next Sunday, the day after the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be nice. Then I'm guaranteed there's going to be some really good races, and that'll be next Sunday. So mark that down in your calendar. As I mentioned, a fast main track firm turf course this afternoon. Let's cruise through the wagering menu this afternoon, and we're going to start it off. We have the Super High Five in race number 1 today, and we do have a carryover of about $1,670 thereabout. Yeah, $1,670. And we also have the first of 2 pick fives, and you'll have a ticket. You'll be showing them in just a little while.
I will have a ticket for the early pick 5. That's races 1 through 5, and the Rainbow 6 with the 10 race card. It starts in race number 5 today.
They hit it again yesterday for $43,000. So we'll be starting anew with the Rainbow 6, and that is in race 5 when we have a 10 race card. So it's your chance maybe today to win that thing. $43,000 for a 20-cent wager. That's pretty cool. And we end the day with our final pick 5 of the afternoon, and you'll have a ticket there also.
50-cent late pick 5, races 6 through 10 today.
Yeah, so let's go into this first race. This one is a 1 mile and 1/8 turf event. That's right. It's a first mile and an 1/8 turf event at the meeting. These are claimers, 3-year-olds and up, $8,000. Couple of scratches in here. The inside horse, number 1, I'm Just Super. Also the main track only, number 12, Battle Back John. And I want to see your ticket because I want to see if you used a horse that I happen to put on top here.
Well, let's see, because we sometimes don't completely agree. We'll give you a look at my ticket. Nice and affordable today, $36. 3 deep for this first race. That's a mile and an 1/8 on the turf. Very exciting when you have them coming out of the chute there. 3 horses in there with the 5, 7, and 8. 4 deep in the next for the second race. I thought a pretty open claiming race there. My single comes in race number 4 with Susie's Street. I just think off the class drop and looks to be the main speed in that race. I thought if you're trying to find a single in here, the most logical one to keep that ticket affordable looks to come in the 4th race. Again, $36
yeah,
for me.
And that horse ridden by Josie Gomez, so likes to go to the front end, so a good pick there. And you'll see that ticket, $36, so very affordable. Now, the horse I was alluding to that you put on your ticket, you did. And I'll tell you why I used the number 7 back. And this is my angle right here. Second in its only previous race at this 9 furlong distance is dropping a notch, stretching out after finishing 5th, going a mile into 16 in his Gulfstream Park finale. That was against 10 open claimers. Kathy Roundtree is the trainer, MCL Jaramillo. My angle, this horse seems to like this 9 furlong distance. It's our first one here that we'll be looking at, and that was where I went with this horse.
Well, I'm totally in agreement with you there. I have this one on top as well. This 8-year-old gelding finished 5th last time out, beaten about 4 1/4 lengths. But if you remember, that was a race won by Dave Hote that day. They went so slow for the opening quarter, 27 flat. And Eddie Castro was riding him that day. He kind of looked around to say, where is everybody? Nobody went with him to the front. So very hard, even with this kind of horse that's not so far off the pace, but very hard to close into any sort of slow fractions like that. I don't think that's going to be the pace scenario here today. I think he'll be forwardly placed enough to move forward from that performance.
Yeah, I took a little bit of chance today and did not put the morning line favorite on my ticket in the beginning. Make It Goal. He's from Jason Service, so a good barn. He's dropping after finishing 4th in the 12-5 at Monmouth Park. 0 for 2 at the distance. So this is where I took a stance again. So, he's got to be used on a ticket, I guess. I'm going to try and beat him this afternoon for that reason.
Well, he hasn't had a win at the distance, and he hasn't finished in the money, so I understand that. But if you go to his race 2 back, that was at this mile and an 1/8 distance. He was beaten about 4 1/2 lengths that day. The winner, Carly Ray's Warrior, won by 3. That was part of a 5-race win streak for that horse. There was a next out winner in 2nd place that day. So he's coming out of a good race in his last start at this distance. I think you can forgive him that. It was a handicap competition up at Monmouth, and as you said, he finished 4th last time. My biggest thing for him is where he's going to set up in terms of the pace in here. As I said, doesn't look to be a lot of main speed in this race, so if he becomes a little pace dependent, but he could be a little bit more forwardly placed, he could do some damage in here.
Well, keeping with the theme of me trying to see who would run well at 9 furlongs, I used the number 9, Dreams Cut Short, in the second spot. You have it on your ticket too, but further down. 1 for 5 in the money, going a mile and an 8. So not a great statistic, but at least has hit the board. Stretching out after taking the overland route last time out and finishing a 6-wide 6th in a 12-5 claimer, going a mile. Alan Hunter Jr. Edgard Zayas in the saddle, and that's sort of intriguing with Edgard on it. I think this horse can run well at this distance, maybe pick up some of the pieces.
I totally agree with you. You always have to note when Edgard climbs aboard a horse like this, coming off of a well-beaten performance last time, but was in very good form prior to that in his recent few races.
Yeah, I know we both used the 5 Regal Force, trying to make it 2 in a row. He dueled through the lane and got up to defeat this level of competition, going a mile. A gelded son of Bernstein. Certainly believe he can handle 9 furlongs.
Well, absolutely, and he had a very good race last time out, and that was at the 7.5 furlong, so he's got to stretch out, but absolutely think that'll be no problem for him.
Well, let's go to race number 2, and this one is 5.5 furlongs, as we mentioned, a fast main track. Claimers, fillies, and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life, $6,250. Scratch the 2 Cape Magic in here, and we both have the number 4 on top of our ticket, and that's Dungeness. Reminds me of crabs in Maryland.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Dungeness. I think Dungeness is certainly eligible to improve off of her last performance. The number 1 Gold Crescent will probably take quite a bit of money in here. She has the speed. She's coming off 3 third-place finishes, so I opted for a horse that I think can move forward, and I want to go back and show this race. This was on October 9th. She was the number 9 that day, so she was drawn outside. She had to deal with that outside post there. She ended up finishing 6th, and she was just finishing 6 lengths behind, to be 3rd. She was just wide throughout. You'll see in here, she's in the green cap, comes closing, kind of loses her spot, I guess, as the winner, Dancing Cool, comes along on the outside, so kind of loses any chance to move forward there, but she gets a very big rider switch today to Emisel Jaramillo. I think everything's going to come together.
And another thing I liked about this horse, if you look down its past performance, it broke its maiden at this 5.5 furlong distance. So I'm in a total agreement with that one. Now, Gold Crescent, you're absolutely right. Cutting back slightly, breaking from the rail after dueling for the lead, getting beat a length when finishing 3rd, going 3/4. I think it's another classic setup between the number 4, Dungeness, closing, and the speed on the inside. And it's a good time to gauge. Maybe the inside speed is good today. Maybe this is where you start looking at the track conditions or biases, if there is such a thing. I haven't seen many at this meet, but good chance to look at it.
Well, early on we saw a lot more of speed playing well, especially on the turf, and I think that it's kind of evened out a little bit now too. But I liked Gold Crescent. I had her in 4th on there. I actually opted for Ralph Zady's other horse in this field, and that's the number 6, Exclusively Dixie, in 2nd. She's getting some class relief. She showed some speed in her last race too, but I do think that she has the ability to rate a little bit more, and I can't imagine the 2 Zady entrants going up to the front and killing each other early on. The number 5, Sky Cotton, also has some speed too, so I think Exclusively Dixie can be taken back a bit. She found a sloppy track last time out and was just beaten by 3 1/4 lengths and tried the turf before that, but she did also break her maiden at this 5.5 furlongs on a fast main track. So with that class relief and back to the fast track, I think that she could do well.
Give you a little bit of a long shot in here, and that's the 8, Miss Regal Light. I think it's 12-1 on the morning line. Stretching out to 5.5 furlongs after rallying, and that was on a sealed sloppy track. Finished 2nd, was 20-1 that afternoon. That was an $8,000 2-lifetime claimer, going 5 furlongs. The race was moved from the turf to there. I think this horse sits behind the speed, and we have rolling super high 5s throughout the afternoon. So this one could come off the pace and maybe make that thing pay nice, because this horse can certainly be, if not win it, which would be cool, but be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. So go back. Maybe you throw in a 12-1. Maybe this horse will go off at 15-1, and you get a little bit of a price in there.
A little bit of a price. Always good to look for that, especially with those rolling super high 5 wagers.
Let's go to race number 3 this afternoon. 7 1/2 furlongs on the turf. These are claimers, fillies, and mares, 3 and up. Non-winners of 3 in life. $8,000. Nice full field of 9 runners with no scratches or jockey changes. And I went with a horse that you haven't fought. We're totally reversed in this race. I'll start it with the 3 China Bella, who closed on pedestrian fractions last time of 25-1 and 51 flat to come within a neck of winning this at this level last time out. Wheels back with the ability in here to either, stalk or sit behind the pace. I think this horse has that, push button ability, and I thought that was a pretty nice performance, sitting behind those, those slow fractions and still being able to run well. So China Bella right on top of my ticket.
Well, I definitely agree with you on that performance. That was a big change from her race 2 back when she was beaten by double-digit length. She doesn't seem to be the most consistent type. If it's kind of an every other pattern to see if she bounces and rebounds, she had a really big performance last time to close. Hopefully she doesn't bounce too much off of that, but I can certainly see her running well in this spot. I went for the number 8 Vineyard Nina on top in this race. I've actually not picked her before, and she's done well, and so she's not going to bypass me today. Even now with the claim, she's in the barn of Joe Catanese now. Lane Leslie's going to be in the saddle, gets that apprentice weight off there, but she's just been in such good form, and I think that she has the ability to close nicely too, or even be a little bit more forwardly placed than she was last time.
Yeah, and if you look at the small trouble line, it says steady slightly at the 8th pole, and they mean steadied very slightly. We couldn't find it. We both looked at this race together. I mean, it just went like this for a second. So, I mean, it's there, so just wanted you to know about that. Now, we were singing this song yesterday for some reason. Kokomo, one of the races that we showed, finished second in front of Vineyard Nina 2 starts back, and a disappointing 8th as the favorite last time out. Eligible to bounce back. It's leading trainer Antonio Sano. Edgar Zayas in the saddle. Do you forgive this horse for that last race?
I think you kind of have to in this field too, and she is another one that's perhaps not the most consistent type, but that was first off the claim there. You can't argue. Maybe she just wasn't a fan of Gulfstream Park West. She'd only ever run at Gulfstream, but it was a very kind of head-scratching performance last time. First off the claim with Antonio Sano and Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle, so certainly nothing to knock in terms of connections. Edgar Zayas will ride today. She does have a pretty good record at this distance too, so we'll see if she can rebound from that.
Well, let's go to race number 4 this afternoon, and this one is 5.5 furlongs. It's a maiden claiming event for 2-year-old fillies. $16,000. Once again, no scratches and 9 runners in the field. And who'd you start it off with in here?
Well, I went with the number 7 Susie's Street on top, and if you remember my early pick 5, this was actually the horse that I singled, and so interesting that you didn't use that one on top. But I agree with you that I think the number 3 Bravo Kona is going to be a big threat here in this field. But I tried to keep, again, my ticket affordable, and I just really think that Susie Street is going to have the speed in here. As you mentioned earlier, Josie Gomez is going to be in the saddle. Often see them go to the front end there. This horse finished 3rd last time out behind some very nice runners, and was 2nd by just a nose prior to that. Going to get some class relief today, too, dropping to the $16,000 maiden level.
Well, it's not that I didn't use it. I didn't single it, but I have it on the ticket. It's just our exactor is flip-flop, and the number 3 is dropping to the $16,000 level on the main track after debuting on turf, what turned out to be a key 5-furlong dash in which the first 3 finishes all came back to win their next start. So you knew I was going there. Antonio Sano, Edgar Zayas. Boy, Edgar better have a good day for us today. So we've been mentioning him awful lot. So that was the reason, Susie Street, for all the reasons you mentioned.
Of course. And the winner of that first race for Bravo Kona was Queen del Valle, who's now had 4 wins on the turf in a row. So certainly no shame finishing behind her. She's going to try the dirt for the first time here. The dam was multiple stakes place, and her 2 wins came on the dirt. So there is some dirt pedigree there too, so we'll see if that surface switch helps her to wake up. She's actually 8-1 on the morning line. I think she'll take a bit more money than that, but maybe you'll get a good price.
Yeah, that's even better if you get the good price and you're in agreement. And I closed it out with the 5 Cindy's Candy stepping up a level after rallying to finish 3rd in her 12-5 career debut at the distance. Ronnie Spatz, Nick Juarez in the saddle, and here's a horse too that I think just ran pretty good last time out. And I think any slight improvement, see this one on the ticket.
Yeah, I could see that one. I passed and went to a first-time starter, kind of a pedigree play, and that's the number 8, Don't Believe Watch for Eric Guillot. And this one, the dam was stakes place, going to debut with Lasix, the sire Majestic Perfection. Want to give a sire stat in the past 5 years with 2-year-olds in dirt sprint. A very strong 18% win average for Majestic Perfection. So definitely some nice win early pedigree there, and half to a stakes place horse named Sinister Tail, who earned more than $100,000. So we'll see if this one, based on on pedigree alone and some solid works at Palm Meadows.
Well, we're going to take a short break now and come back with my Rainbow Six ticket. And the person who hit it yesterday, there was a $98 horse in that sequence. That's some good handicapping. So we'll be right back and show you my Rainbow Six ticket.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park West. Ron and Acacia, the fifth race, as I mentioned, going to start the Rainbow Six. This one is a 1 mile turf event, maiden special weight, 2-year-olds. One of the great races on the card. One scratch in here of the number 8, Southern Smitted. And note that the number 3 horse in here will race with blinkers off this afternoon. So you got that one equipment note. And as I mentioned, they nailed the Rainbow Six, but we're starting anew. It's a great bet. It's only 20 cents. Let's quickly go to my ticket, and you'll see, I had a little tough time putting one together, but I think I got a pretty sound chance this afternoon. You see, I singled the horse in race number 6, and that's Fact Check, a horse we'll be talking about. And then you see 3, 3, 4, and 3. And that horse, Fact Check, just for you to know, Todd Pletcher, the trainer, he's got horses in the 5th to the 9th race today. That's 5 races in a row. So my ticket, $43.20.
He's bound to win at least one of them, I think. Yeah, lots of chances today for Todd Pletcher. I did actually use that horse as well, so we're on the same page there. And I actually landed on a Todd Pletcher trainee in the first leg of the Rainbow Six.
And I'm thinking it's Lemonist, because I'm agreeing with you here.
It is, yeah. Well, this horse, a very nicely bred one, trying the turf for the first time. He found the slop last time out, but it seemed to come out of what you might call a key race, if you will.
Yeah, and, it's breeding for me. I really, this being the son of a lemon drop kid, out of a Danzig mare, all the things to say that this horse is going to love the turf. And, of course, Todd Pletcher and his horses first came down, and they would, we only had a couple of wins, but it seems that the barn has really woken up recently.
Absolutely, especially here in South Florida. And I alluded to the fact that coming out of a key race in his debut at Monmouth, Cohen's Cat in that race won his next 2 and then was 3rd in Stakes Company after that. And then Bird's Eye View won the next and then was 3rd in the Grade 2 with Anticipation and in the Grade 3 Bourbon. So definitely keeping some good company in his debut on the slop at Monmouth. So we'll see if he transfers that form and lives up to the breeding on the turf.
Well, the horse you used in second, I used in third, and that is the number 6, Quintientos. And I know that you had some interest in this horse. I want to go back and show them
I
something.
did. Well, I want to go back and show his most recent start. This was on October 14th. He was the number 5 that day. Actually, 40-1. I don't think you're going to get that kind of price. I don't think he'll be the favorite. Todd Pletcher probably will be the favorite in this spot. But I thought that he ran very, very well. This was when stretching out to a mile and a 16th. 3 races so far. Pretty slow fractions as well. You see 25-3 for the opening quarter, 52-2 for the half there. And he manages to come and be game for 3rd, beaten only by a length and a half in that race there. And I think that he's eligible to improve and could be one at a little bit more of a price.
Yeah, he ran very well that afternoon, and you mentioned 40-1. So the horse that I put in second in here is the number 5, and the horse you have in third, and that's Tipsy Kitten. So certain things you learn about Gulfstream Park, betting Gulfstream Park and Gulfstream Park West. First you look, if you see it's the sire is Kitten's Joy. Check mark, right? Then you go and you see it's trained by Mike Maker. Another check mark. And this one expected to show more. Encountered some trouble at the start. Got brushed in the air. Failed to mount the rally. Was 9th in its maiden special weight debut. I'm going to give this horse another chance off that performance. I went back. He got brushed at the start. It wasn't any great thing, but just the connections alone, you have to give this horse another look.
Well, the barn is not known for first-time starters, so certainly give a pass in the debut for that one, and I definitely think he can improve. Emmy Sale Jaramillo stays aboard. The 2 full siblings, Artemis Kitten and Redwood Hollywood Kitten were both stakes winners and graded stakes place. So I think he can jump up in his second career start.
Well, race number 6 this afternoon, 6 1/2 furlongs, maiden special weight. This is for 2-year-olds. And once again, a nice full field of 9 runners with no scratches or jockey changes to report. And this was my single, 6 1/2 furlong race. I singled Fact Check, but you got your late pick 5 ticket you want to show them.
Late pick 5. I did go too deep in here. I used Fact Check as well as the number 6 Legacy Azteca. I can certainly see Fact Check winning this race very easily, but I do think if you're trying to start your late pick 5, maybe you get knocked out of the Rainbow 6. Hopefully you don't, but if you do, I think you actually even might be able to go a little bit deeper in this race. But I went 4 deep in the 7th race, so that's why I kind of kept it paired down there. That 7 race is another maiden special weight. I thought that the last race today where I went too deep was actually very open too. I agree with you. I think the later half of the card, tough to pare down. $48 for me, but I think a lot of good betting races.
Yeah, a lot of good races. And I'll tell you why I singled the Fact Check in here. This one's going to stretch out to 6 1/2 furlongs today. I thought a very promising 6 furlong debut across down at Gulfstream Park. I want to show you first this horse's start. You know, he absolutely loses the break and loses about 3 lengths, which will be coming up. And I just thought that with that performance, you'll see it here now. It was the number 8 that day, and just comes out, and there you see him back there. So spots the field out of the picture all the way back there. Now comes running in the stretch and runs very well to be, to run in a very good second into here. And I just thought it was a good performance after that troubled start. And as I mentioned, Todd Pletcher's horses look after they have a race down here in South Florida, they've been running exceptionally well. So this one comes with a built-in excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that slow start. It was also a sloppy track that day too. He's going to get the fast track today, a $180,000 son of Yes, It's True. So definitely everything points to Fact Check in here. He's been working on his tan a little bit, got his South Florida experience already. I mentioned the number 6 Legacy Azteca, who's coming out of Stakes Company. I don't know about getting the win today, but he's had some very good performances and kept some very good company. I actually want to go back and show his race on September 3rd, which was in the Florida Sire Affirmed Stakes. He finishes behind 3 Rules there, who won by 5.5. Legacy Azteca beaten just by 6.5. He was 3rd behind, front loaded. You see he's very far back at the start of the race. He's actually off screen early. He comes closing really, really strong close to end up finishing 3rd in here. Earlier on in his maiden special weight, he finished 2nd, beaten just by 3/4 of a length behind Guanavera, who went on to win the Grade 2 Saratoga Special. So again, keeping some very good form. And there's the number 4. You see him there, Legacy Azteca. It looks like he's actually going to hold 2nd, and he just gets passed by to finish 3rd. But again, he came closing from so far back in that race.
Yeah, they went a little fast in that race. They went to half in 44.87, I believe. So the race sort of set up for some closers come running. But you're absolutely right about the class relief this afternoon. Fits perfectly with maidens, and I like that horse. So don't think because I just singled Fact Check that I didn't think this horse was there. But like we say, we try and pare our tickets down to make them affordable. Now, I went to the number 2 horse in 3rd, Vencedor. This one is another poised to offer more today, I believe, after recovering from a bit of an awkward start. Broke into it in that race, finished 4th, its local debut, 6 furlongs on that sealed, sloppy track.
The Dam won the Grade 3 Vagrancy. This one was only beaten by 4 lengths on the slop. Emisel Jaramillo in the saddle today. I also used the number 5 African Chief, a $155,000 son of Girolamo. This one's a full 2. She's Already, who was 3rd in the Grade 1 Frizette. Eddie Plisa Jr., Luca Panici going to be in the saddle.
Race number 7 this afternoon, 7 1/2 furlongs on the turf. Maiden special weight, 3-year-olds and up at 1 scratch in here. And number 7, Set the Big Boys Free. And we're going to deal with 8 runners in this field. And I'm going to start it off in here, and so did you, with the number 4, Louis Baby Boy, who's cutting back slightly to 7 1/2 furlongs after I thought a well-meant second-place finish going a mile at Gulfstream Park, in which the $200,000 son of Malibu Moon was beaten only a length. But I want to go back and show you that stretch run in there, trained by Lisa Lewis. I just thought this horse was game. Was on the lead, got surrounded by horses on its inside and outside, and here you'll see it here. And I just thought it was a gutsy performance, and I think it's a logical spot for this horse to, with the turn back to 7 1/2 to run well. There is the number 5, and was fighting for the lead throughout the whole race, and then just gets nailed at the wire. And I like the way the horse come back and held on for a second in that race. So that was my reasoning for putting on top of the ticket.
Well, it was a very game performance from Louis Baby Boy. And then two back actually had an excuse as well, was third, bumped up to second through disqualification of the second place finisher, Salutation, who's also in this race. He's the one here today. So both of those horses trying to get clean trips and make it towards the winner's circle. Lisa Lewis does have a win here at Gulfstream Park West. So hopefully this one can get the job done today.
You didn't jump on the Pletcher bandwagon in this race with the number 6, Howell Mountain, debuting locally after that solid turf debut across town. He re-rallied in that race to finish 4th behind Louis Baby Boy last time out. As we mentioned, Todd Pletcher with horses in 5 consecutive races. Edgar Zayas, his main rider here at Gulfstream Park West. This is really an impeccably bred son of Bernardini.
Well, I did actually. That should actually be 4-3-6-1 for me. So I did have Howell Mountain in third. Switched over to the turf, as you mentioned, beaten just a length and 3/4. He's got another one that has a little bit of Florida experience there. So I agree with you in this spot. I used the number 3 Tropicat in second, who's stepping back up to maiden special weight after trying maiden claiming last time. But he ran pretty similar races. Both of those were third in special weight and then in claiming, but he got the experience going 2 turns on the turf. So I think even with the step up, he could be live in here.
You know, you touched on Salutation, who finished second in front of those, in front of Louis Baby Boy and Howell Mountain when he was disqualified to place third going a mile on September 1st. Now renews the rivalry after finishing that late charging 5th behind them last time out. So these horses seem to know each other very well. And as you mentioned at the top of your analysis, everybody's looking for that clean trip in here.
Yeah, that's really going to be the key. So hopefully no bumping around.
So you did jump on the Pletcher
I did.
Okay.
I did.
All right.
Yes.
I thought maybe you had some reasoning there. Now, the 8th race, 7 furlongs allowance, optional claimer, 3-year-olds and up, or the optional claiming price of $16,000. Going to scratch the number 7, the Great Casby, in this race. And I'm going to let you start it off in here with your top pick, and that is the 3, Keep Me Grounded.
Well, this one from the barn of Jason Service, and won very nicely at Parks last time out in allowance company, going 6 furlongs. A slight stretch out now to the 7 furlongs, but he does have a win at this distance. And I want to give a trainer stat on Jason Service in the past 5 years with horses that won last time out on the dirt. He's very strong in these percentages here, and that was a big reason for me putting this horse on top. He's 58 for 204, 28% win, 125 for 204, a big sample size too, and he's 61% of the time in the money. $1.90 ROI, so not a positive ROI there, but I can imagine his horses are pretty well bet, and I was surprised it was even that high.
Well, let me give you an 8-to-1 shot on top of my ticket here, and that is the Sun Wind, who's stretching out to 7 furlongs. 3 previous races at 7 furlongs. No wins, but a second and a third. So 2 for 3 in the money. First start since dueling throughout, finishing second behind a repeat winner called Ranger in Paradise, and the next out winner called Tanago, going 3/4 of a mile. That was back on September 2nd. He's working well. I want to give you a stat on trainer Gilberto Zerpa over the last 5 years with a layoff of 31 to 60 days. All claiming races on the dirt. These are some good numbers here. 14 for 43. That's 33%, 51% in the money, and a really nice, solid return of investment of $3.25. So a little bit of a shot there. I like the horse. He runs well at 7 furlongs. Got good trainer, got good stats, and see if we can get a job done. Oh, by the way, coming out of that key race.
Key race, there you go. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a tough one in here. 8-1, you might get a price on him for sure. I thought that this was a really good betting race in here because I landed on a horse. I just kept going back and forth between a couple in here, and just picking 4 in this race I thought was a tough task.
Right.
So, and you can see by our selections, besides the number 3, we're totally all over the place. So I landed on the number 6, Scam, in second. This one's first off the claim, now in the barn of Fernando Abreu. He has some speed, but what was really interesting to me is the rider change here. Luis Castillo rode him last time to finish a very solid third after having some traffic against 16 optional claimers there. He's going to stay at this level, but he gets Edgar Zayas in the saddle today. Edgar not riding for Todd Pletcher's horse Bolt Hall in this spot, and I just think that this is really a horse that can be live in here.
Yeah, and Boat Hall is Pletcher's horse in here, 12-1 in the morning. The only horse I didn't have any interest from him. You know, when I say that, they usually win. But you didn't use the morning line favorite in here, number 11, Splash Rules. This one is stretching out to 7 furlongs today after a couple of strong outings, going 6.5 furlongs, in which he got a 95 buyer. If you're a buyer aficionado, when defeating state-bred runners, that was back on August 20th, was second as the favorite against 16 optional claimers last time out. The only problem with this horse is that outside post. I think there's performances. You see those bias. He ran well, maybe bounced a little bit off that top performance. Now maybe comes back and wins it, and thus, as I said, the morning line favorite in there.
Well, he's got some speed. There's a bunch of other potential speed in this race as well, and that was my biggest thing. He's got the outside post. He may be able to get locked up in some sort of speed duel. Didn't really like how he weakened a bit last time out. It might have been just a bounce off of that big performance two back. I did use Todd Pletcher's horse, Bolt Hall, in third in here. He had about a 6-month layoff after trying the turf two back. Came back in September at Saratoga. Didn't really do much running there, but he's going to be running against a bit easier in this spot. He's a $360,000 son of Scat Daddy.
Scat Daddies like them, so we'll see how that works out. Scat Daddy, yeah, I mean, that's the one horse I backed off, but if he ran in there and ran on the board, I wouldn't be surprised. With that said, we'll flip the page and go to race number 9 today, a mile on the turf allowance. These are 3-year-olds and up. It's a allowance race in here, I think a $34,000 purse. We do have one jockey changing here on the number 2, make the rider Jorge Ruiz. And here we went back to Pletcher with the number 12, Stockyard. And Stockyard is debuting locally after the pair of well-meant turf outings under allowance conditions in which he followed a second-place finish at Monmouth with another well-meant second-place finish across town. And I want to go back and show you that performance last time out. And I just thought he ran pretty well in there. He was going to pick it up in the stretch to the wire. And what I liked about this horse, maybe some people have some trepidation because the fractions you see him up there was slow in this race. So we'll see how Stockyard runs in here. And I just thought off that performance deserved the one to beat. He was the number 7 that afternoon, and he's right there all the way till the wire. So a good performance by him.
Yeah, I thought he was game there to be beaten only by a length. Edgar Zaya is going to stay aboard. He's been working nicely since then at Palm Beach Downs, too, so lots to like about him in this spot here, sticking with the mile on the turf. He's a $250,000 son of Scat Daddy, so Todd Pletcher has some nice Scat Daddies in there. I went to the number 6, Blue Harbor, who does have some speed, but also has the ability to rate a bit. He was beaten just by a length last time as well. That was against 35 optional claimers, so he's going to go into allowance company today. But if you just look at this horse's past performances, he has been in such excellent form, has not been beaten by any more than a length in his past 6 races or so.
Yeah, I mean, for all those reasons, I got Blue Harbor on the ticket. But Terry's Charm, who you have on the ticket also, I have in second, does his best running from either a stalk or closing position. Should be able to carve out, I think, a really good trip here behind. I see an abundance of speed in this race. And who's the rider? Luca Panici. He's perfect with, horses coming off the pace. That's his angle. So I just thought of their performance. This is strictly horse I think might sit a real nice trip in this race.
And he finished third behind Stockyard last time out, not too far behind him. So I thought he was one to have on as well. I know we both liked a bit the 9 Vendita, who's coming out of Stakes Company, 2 wins prior to that.
Yeah, I like this horse. If I can get 12-1, I'll be at the window. Just push me out of the way because I'm going to keep hitting the button there. That's my long shot play today. I think on the drop, he should be right there at the wire. The 10th race, 1 mile on the turf, maiden claim is fillies and mares, 3-year-olds, and upward $10,000. Scratch the number 5, Mini. 3 minis. I remember last time I did it 4, but this time I did it right in here. And you have 2 horses that you used on your ticket in your late pick 5, and one of those that we both agree is Perfectress.
Well, this one looks like the one to be in this race. Gets Lane Luzzy in the saddle today. Actually 3-1 on the morning line. 0 for 10 so far, so has not been able to get to that winner's circle just yet. There's a lot of horses that have quite a few races in this field here, and I think that's what makes it a bit tough to kind of gauge who is the clear standout. But this horse, Perfectress, is coming off of a 6th place finish last time. That was against 12-5 maiden, so just a little bit of a drop here, and going to stick with this mile on the turf. Had a couple of solid performances prior to that, not beaten by too many lengths, so I think that she can move forward.
You got to tell me about bookkeeping. I cannot make this horse, but I want to hear your reasoning.
Well, this was 0 for 15, and I'm going a couple starts back here. Actually clipped heels last time out, so I think you just put a line through that last race. You have to. She didn't run at all. She ran on the dirt prior to that. Didn't like the dirt. She was well beaten before that, but she had to check sharply on the first term. If you keep going back, now we're back into the 2nd week of August. The last time that she actually had a clean trip and was on the surface that she liked, that was against 12-5 maiden. She was beaten only by a neck. I think she's a sneaky in here. 10-1 on the morning line. Sammy Camacho in the saddle.
I see. I like your reasoning right there. The number 3, it's All You is debuting locally after rallying to finish second in her Gulfstream Park turf finale against 12-5 maidens at the distance. Rick Creel, Jesus Rios returning. 1 for 15, that's the conditions of, we'll see how that works out. But I thought a horse that you had to have somewhere on the ticket.
And I also used the number 2, the Red Tour, another one 0 for 15. But I think that this is a race that's just kind of seeing whose day it might be.
Let me tell you about the 10th circuit. You have in 4th and I have in 3rd. This one is eligible to show more after returning from a layoff, sitting behind the field, and then rallying to finish 4th behind this familiar competition. The trainer is Juan Rizzo. And if you remember, just last week, had a $100 plus winner with a horse that looked exactly like this. This is a daughter of a Scorpion and poised maybe to spring the upset in that final race. So this barn is, I think they had 4 starts here with 2 wins, and both of them played big prices.
And this one didn't run too badly last time out from the outside post, too. Finished 4th behind Next Out winner Solidaire and beaten about 6 lengths that day. Jacinto Herrera stays aboard and out of a stack mare, so certainly could be a live one in here.
Well, it's really a fun day of racing today. Got some really nice races throughout the afternoon. I mean, this is one great betting card.
It certainly is. Hope you got your handicapping hats on and hope we gave you some interesting information. Good luck today, everyone.
What do I love about horse racing?